So I was going to record a separate PD video, but then I thought, you know what? This tool basically functions as a PD. And so a lot of the questions that come up for whether it's English teachers or counselors, when you start to get stuck with students, a lot of them are answered in the tool. So I just wanted to point out where in the tool these are answered through this short video and through the links that you see on your screen in front of you. So first in the intro video, we've got some basic questions like what's the purpose of the personal statement? How is it different from an English essay? This is great for counselors who are trying to communicate to English teachers, hey, this is really a different piece of writing, and here's some of the qualities that need to go into it. Here's what it needs to do in the purpose of the students, in the overall students' application. And then you've got questions like, how do we get students started in terms of brainstorming? So for me, there are two different styles of essay. One is an essay that's challenges based, which is I call the narrative structure, and then you've got the montage structure. So I've got some different exercises that I think are really useful for those. And I think maybe all students should try all the exercises, and they're pretty short, but I think that ultimately they end up choosing to write about challenges or not. And both are great. That's something that I say in the tool. You'll see links on the screen to find more on each. When it comes to writing about challenges, sometimes students wonder, is this going to make a good essay? Or how do I make it not sound like a sob story? Or what about mental health challenges? Questions like that are all answered in module 1.2, which you'll see a link to right here. And for each of these, there's a video that explains it, but there's also a little thing underneath it that says display transcript, and students can click it, and then boom, they'll be able to see all the answers to that, or counselors can click it. Then you've got montage structure. Sometimes students read an essay from another, this tool or elsewhere, and they're like, can I steal this thematic thread? If somebody's writing, for example, an essay on food, can I write about food? Well, yeah, but how? This is covered in that video. There are also some tips about writing about COVID-19. Should I write about that in my personal statement or not? That's covered in there. And then there's a guide to cliche topics. Now, I'm not a huge fan of writing about extracurricular activities for the personal statement because I think that's best saved for supplemental essays. So I do a little quick guide to cliche topics. Hopefully, this is going to save some time, some students' time and some counselors' time by taking a lot of those really common ones off the table. And don't worry, I provide options for helping students come up with other ideas. Then when it comes to outlining, I think this is a step that students sometimes skip. Sorry, I'm doing this all in one take. And I think that when students can really create a nice outline, it can actually help them see if the topic's going to work or not. Because sometimes they create the outline or they have trouble creating the outline and they're like, And if they can find that out earlier, sooner rather than later, great. So one of the things that I do in the tool is help them to create these outlines to sort of test their topic. Will it fly or not? And I do this based on, the challenges-based essay again, or 7 different types of montage essay. And this came from a product of going through like 300 essays from the past 5 years and seeing how are students reliably finding their paths for their topics. So you'll see these on the screen right here. And I've got a little outlining exercise for each one of those different styles. And then revising. How do we give great feedback? I've got a little guide to that. One of the things I say in there is I think it's really good to not give grammar feedback or punctuation feedback early on. Early on, we want to be talking about big picture concerns, like, is this a great topic or not? Because if it's not, then the grammar doesn't really matter. We need to figure out, okay, what might be a better, more elastic topic, which is to say a topic that might stretch to talk about other parts of the student's life. So I talk about how to give great feedback. It's pretty short, don't worry. And then how can a student help clarify the challenges that they face or the impacts of the challenges? What do they do if the challenges aren't really that compelling? What if the student's topic is actually unclear? How can they revise that? So there's a link for each one of those questions. That's why I didn't put this into a really long video, because these are all sort of separate concerns. How can a student, this is huge, how can a student bring more insight into their essay when it comes to narrative or when it comes to montage structure? And then, and I like to talk about this later in the process, how do they write a great hook or intro? I've got 3 ways to do it for a challenges-based essay and 7 ways to do it for a montage essay. And then, and only then, when they've got a great topic, it's working well, it flows well, they're trying to figure out, what they've got the opening figured out, then we talk about polishing and grammar. And at the end, how do we know if the essay is doing its job and what is the job of the essay? Now, I say that in the initial video too, but it's good to sort of reorient and go, is this essay doing its job? Is it revealing values, skills, qualities, interests that the student is bringing with them to the college campus? And if not, what are some ways that we can revise that? I've got a bunch of sample essays that I link here as well, and stuff for future steps in the rest of the college application process. As ever, if you've got any questions or you're trying to figure out where to find something, just email help@collegeessayguide.com and Ashley will get you hooked up. All right, thanks.